Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so very excited to have you here. Today I wanted to go over all of the books that I read in November. I know that I am late. I'm so sorry. If you watch my last video that I just put up, I was basically saying that Nick came home and we have been just in go mode. There's so much that needs to get done, so much that we have to move everything. Again, he has so much to do. I have so much to do taking care of everything here. He has a ton to do at work. It's been crazy. It's been really crazy. But I've been lacking on my reading and editing these videos. I have just all of my SD cards are absolutely full. I have all this stuff ready to go. I just got a new computer, so I'm kind of trying to learn how to transition into editing on a different software. So that's been really tricky and kind of difficult for me to learn. So I just have all this stuff that's kind of changing on me right now, and I've just not had time to fully in-depth learn how to edit these videos on a different program, and on top of that actually go ahead and edit them. So it's late. I'm so sorry. I will try to get back on the train, grind it out for December, because I do have a bunch of ideas. So I would like to get all of that done and pushed out, but I also would like to get the videos that I already have filmed. I would like to get those edited and up for you guys, because I'm tired of having them in here. I would like some storage clear on my SD cards, that way I have more room to do other things. It's kind of ridiculous, I will say, but it's okay. I'm just working with it, and I'm just gonna kind of get them out when I can. So don't expect them on Fridays necessarily. That's normally whenever I like to post them. I might try to post on Fridays as well as some other days throughout the week. But just keep your eyes peeled for those, because there will probably be more than the average videos per week up until December. I would like to get everything that I have and everything that I plan on making in December out. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I would like to, just so I can start fresh for the new year. We'll see how that goes though. But as you can see, we are in a different setup. We did get an apartment. We're in the process of moving everything in here. So this is probably going to be more of the permanent filming situation. But thank the Lord we found something in our budget, and Nick's very happy. I'm pretty happy. So that's all that really matters. There's gonna be a mess in the background probably. We're working on getting everything situated and put up and whatnot. So there's that. So just bear with me for a while. We're just kind of transitioning. There's a lot of transitioning for me going on, and I'm just trying to get it situated, because I don't want to not be able to fully do everything that I want to. I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling, but there is that. Nick's back home, thank goodness, safe, sound. Definitely a long 9 months, but we pushed through and we made it, and now we're just almost back to normal. So now that I've done talk your ear off, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you all the books that I read. I don't even know if this is gonna be in order, to be honest, but just in general, these are all the books that I read for November. Kicking off, I mentioned this one in the last wrap-up video that I made. I started this, I think, in October, and I didn't end up finishing it, but it is Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapena. I did really, really enjoy this book. I was not sure what it was going to be about necessarily. Again, I can read the back of this a million times and still forget. Like, I can't ever remember. But I was thoroughly hooked on this one. I will say I was not expecting that. I thought it was just going to be kind of a meh, it's okay. It wasn't my favorite. It was just like, all right, I didn't mind reading it, but I didn't enjoy it that much. But I did really like it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't know if I've heard people say that they don't like this book or what happened with it, but I was just not expecting to like it that much. Maybe just because it's been on my shelf for a while and I haven't read it, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know if I've said it in another video, but it kind of reminded me of The Paris Apartments by Lucy Foley, just done better. It wasn't necessarily the same, but it just gave off the same vibes, I guess. I need to find another word other than vibes, because I'm getting really tired of saying that and I just don't know what else to say. They did resemble each other a lot in some way in my mind. Whether or not that's accurate, I don't really know, but to me they kind of felt the same. They gave off the same tone, I guess, in a way. This one is about a very rich, very wealthy family. The children all go to their family's house on Easter, I believe it is. So they have an Easter supper together with their family. The next morning, they all wake up, come to find out their parents have been murdered. So all the kids stand to inherit millions of dollars from their parents, and their parents weren't the best parents to them. So as we progress through the story, You find out that literally every single person is lying in this book, and you do not know who did it. So they're trying to figure out who the killer is amongst the family. The detectives and everybody else that has a say-so in this pretty much thinks that somebody that is in the will, that is up for the inheritance, is the person that committed these murders. And so they're just trying to figure out who did it. But this was kind of crazy. It really was. I hate money talk. I really do. Money is like one of the worst conversations in my opinion. I can't stand having to deal with any type of money issues, just talking about money in general. I cannot stand it. And this was practically the entire book. The kids, they were all getting millions and millions of dollars. And just the whole time, they were so bratty about everything. They expected everything. You know, this kid wanted the house. This kid wanted a business. This kid wanted a ton of money. And it was just all like, I deserve all this money. I deserve this. I deserve this because my parents are rich. And it was just so uncomfortable for me to read. It just, the whole topic was just not for me. But it was so fascinating nonetheless. I did really, really like this. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars. I loved it so much. It definitely did not give me the 5-star feelings, but nonetheless, I did really like it. I think what kind of pulled it back a little bit for me was that I didn't really read it all in the same time frame. I took like a major break in between the first time like that I started reading this and then me putting it down and then picking it back up again. By the time I picked this back up, I didn't really remember the characters. I didn't remember who they were married to, the boyfriends, the housekeeper, the other people that were in it. I just couldn't really keep up with it, and it took me a little bit to get back into it. Whereas I feel like if I would have just not put it back down, I would have just completely devoured it from start to finish. But since I did have that pause, there were some really good chapters that I read that I just didn't quite get into as much as I would have. What I left off on, what I had already read, and then I didn't remember the characters that I was reading about at that point. Nonetheless, I did really like this. I enjoyed it so much. I would recommend this one for sure. I really liked it. So then I started a video, which you have not seen yet, and you will at some point, so just kind of watch out for it, I guess. But I read military romance books for a week before Nick came home, and this is kind of getting into that. That's why they're all the same. I started with The Great and Precious Things by Rebecca Yarros. This one was pretty much about this guy that was in the military, and he gets a call from his dad that has dementia telling him to come back home because he wants a DNR, and his brother will not accept that. So the son gets out of the army and comes back home to kind of help take care of his dad, but also to kind of help respect his wishes. And honestly, I don't really recall much other than that, but the two brothers are kind of bickering back and forth. The one that has been there to take care of his dad doesn't want to let go like that. The other brother understands that and he does agree, but on the flip side, he does want to respect his dad's wishes, and he does want to ultimately let his dad decide what happens to him. This one I liked. It was not my favorite out of the 3. I will go ahead and say that. It wasn't anything super crazy. It kind of was like a forbidden romance because he comes back and he is still in love with this girl named Willow, and he cannot be with Willow because Willow is his dead brother's girlfriend. So obviously they're not dating anymore, the guy's dead, but they were dating when he passed away, and the older brother does not want to interfere with that in the slightest, but he kind of can't help it, right? He's back in town where she is, she's into him, he's really into her, but he's like, I'm not gonna do anything because you're my brother's girl, and she's like, but I'm not, he's gone, it's been like 10 years, the whole shebang. It was okay. It definitely was not my favorite at all. Even just for like a military book, I was expecting more in the military, and this was not that. This was him getting out and just his life after the military, which is fine, but I was more thinking that it was going to be something more internal, but it wasn't that, and that's okay. I honestly just kind of don't remember much about this book. It wasn't very fascinating. I know that the end did kind of throw me for a loop because there were some plot twists in it and stuff that you didn't really see coming, but it still wasn't anything great. Wasn't anything great or precious, but nonetheless, it still was alright. I kind of enjoyed it for what it was, I guess, but I ended up giving this one a 3 stars. I don't know if I'd recommend it. I don't remember enough about it to say, yeah, I would recommend this one, or no, I wouldn't as of right now, but I feel like in the moment of me reading it, I probably wouldn't have. It wasn't bad by any means. I would say that if I know somebody's looking for a book kind of like this, then yeah, I would recommend it to them. But other than that, I wouldn't say, oh yeah, this is a book that I read that I really enjoyed. Maybe give it a try yourself. But we got this one down as well. Then right after that, I picked up The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros, and I liked this one a lot more than I liked the other book. This one was a lot more emotional and just a lot deeper. Again, this is kind of another forbidden romance type of thing. So the female main character, she ends up becoming pen pals with the male main character while they are on a deployment overseas, something like that. So they are writing letters back and forth. He can't disclose his identity to her, so he has this code name that he makes up that he writes to her as. So they're sending letters back and forth. They're kind of falling in love with each other just over letters and stuff. They've never seen each other. She doesn't know what he looks like. He knows what she looks like because she sent him pictures. But since she can't know anything about his identity, it's kind of just a one-way street in that aspect. They become super, super close, but then one day just communication is cut completely. So she is mourning the loss of her brother and now the loss of her pen pal, so she thinks. Well, he ends up going back to the town that she's from to help take care of her and her 2 kids. One of her kids has cancer, he knows about it, and he just kind of wants to go help her and be with her and just kind of protect her and stuff like that. So he goes back for that, and finally she allows him to come in and kind of help them out and stuff, and it's basically just them going on from there, them kind of forming a relationship, even though he is a stranger to her, but she is not a stranger to him. She is still under the impression that he died alongside of her brother, and that this guy, Beckett, that has now come into her life, that is still the same guy that she's pen pals with, she thinks that he's just a random guy that her brother was friends with that sent him to kind of help her out and stuff. So they're kind of navigating their relationship. He's still already in love with her. She has no idea who he is, technically. And they try to kind of come together, work together so that her kids can have like a father figure-ish, but also so that he can kind of help her take care of the kids. I liked it. I thought this one was a lot better than the other one. I thought that the story itself was really deep and emotional. I really liked it. The only thing I will say about this one, it was such a book. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't real world. It didn't feel real world to me at all. It felt so made up because literally one thing after the other would happen to this lady and her family and stuff, and it was just so unrealistic. Like, I feel like in real life, the amount of trauma and stuff that she was going through doesn't happen like it did in this book. And it was kind of frustrating to see that, like, one thing would get better, and then this would get worse, and then this would get worse, and then this would get better, but then something else would happen, and it was just a constant flow of just negative crap that was coming in. So that was kind of unrealistic in my opinion. I didn't love that. Also, this one had another massive plot twist at the end. I was not expecting it literally at all. Not in the slightest. Again, it's just like, it's give and take. Something will happen good in this book, but then on the flip side, something then will happen negatively. So like, nobody's ever happy. You're never happy reading this book because, like, you become happy and then you're like, oh crap, this happened, that sucks, that's ridiculous. But nonetheless, I still thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed this one, so I did give this one a 4 stars. Again, not a 5-star book. In my opinion, I do see high potential for this one to be a 5-star for a lot of people. To me, it just didn't give me the feelings. For my last book that I read for my military romance video, I read The Things That We Leave Unfinished, again by Rebecca Yarros. I do not remember much about this book at all. Like, I'm not even joking with you. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention to it that much. I don't know if I just wasn't resonating with the story at all. I really didn't care for it. This is my least favorite of the 3 books by far. This one is about a woman who comes to find out that her mom is trying to sell her grandma's final book that she never wanted anybody to read. She ends up deciding to go ahead and okay this book publishing, and she specifically picks out this one author to write the story so that he can create an ending that is opposite of the happy endings that her grandma usually writes in her books. They are bickering back and forth between the direction that they want this book to go in. He wants them to have an happy ending. She does not want them to have a happy ending. So they are going through and reading old letters from her grandma and her grandpa back and forth while he was stationed or deployed overseas, something like that. The 2 are reading these letters and trying to figure out how the relationship was, so that way he can finish the story that her grandma never got to finish, based on the real life situation that they were in. I will give it to Miss Rebecca. The plot twists that she gives in all of these books are very, very good. I enjoyed reading the end of this book, maybe like the last 30 pages, I would say. Other than that, I genuinely just didn't care. I really didn't. I didn't really care for the main characters. I didn't care for the main characters in the past tense. It just wasn't for me. I don't know what I didn't really like about this. As a whole, I didn't think it was that great. I think that the book was good, but I didn't like it. Does that make any sense? I genuinely think that this book was better than the other two that I read. I think that like it was just a better book. I just didn't like this one as much. Like I can appreciate this for what it is. I just didn't care for it. I think I did get kind of tired of reading the back and forth, so every other chapter was between the letters that her grandma received and the present tense that they were in. I didn't really like that much. I also read the audiobook on this and I was still getting confused on past and present a lot of the times, which was kind of obnoxious. But all in all, it just was not my favorite. I don't know why I didn't like this book, and I really wanted to like this book. I read this one last because I figured that this one was going to be the best. This one had the most reads, and I think this one might have had the highest ratings, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be totally making all that up. I'm not really sure. But I did, in my head, expect this one to be the best, and it wasn't. It totally flopped for me. So this one definitely was my least favorite, so I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. I probably could lower it, but I think my rating system as of right now, the 1-star books are just books that I absolutely did not like, and then 2-star books are more like I didn't like them, but they weren't terrible. I don't know. It wasn't that bad. I would never recommend this to literally anybody. But I do have appreciation for the book. I can say that I do understand where people would really, really enjoy this. It just didn't hit the nail on the head for me for some reason. Then lastly, I know I don't have very many books this month. Again, I feel like I've said that for the past like 3 months, but it genuinely has been such a busy month. But I read Me Before You, and I liked this book a lot. I have read some of the negative reviews on this book, and I do agree with the negative reviews, but at the end of the day, I can't get over it. It was so heartwarming to me. I loved the slow burn. It was just a massive slow burn. If you need a book that doesn't have any spice and just super slow burn, this might be the book for you, because I really, really liked it. I thought it was so good. This one was about a man who was in an accident and he becomes a quadriplegic or something like that. I don't know. But he's wheelchair bound, and I don't think that he can move anything from like his neck down. So she gets hired by Will's mom to come help him kind of just find his will to live. He is so depressed and so moody, and it's so understandable, but he honestly just doesn't have the will to live, and his mom decides to hire Louisa as a last attempt to kind of help bring him out of his shell, to find somebody to connect with, not necessarily to fall in love with, but just to help bring him out of his dark state that he's in. She comes in, tries to help him out. He's super moody and super obnoxious. She does not want to deal with it. She's just trying to buy her 6-month contract and leave. But when he starts coming around to her and starts having a good time with her and joking around, she starts to kind of become interested in him. Then she finds out the real reason why she's there and why she's on a 6-month contract. She decides to dive in full force and completely try to help him. So hear me out, right? This was definitely a movie book. This felt like I was watching a movie while I was reading this, and I know that this is a movie. I am going to watch the movie at some point. It was really nice, but it also was nice that it wasn't spicy at all. They weren't super romantic at all. They were just kind of friends. It was just watching them grow together completely. And it was really nice. So I did like that. I do have some gripes with this book. I will say, Will, God bless him. I understand, like, not fully, not to the extent of, like, I relate, but I do understand why he's in such a bad mood. But it's so frustrating because his mind is so made up that even though he can admit that, like, you have made my life completely, like, you have 100% made my life. My time with you in these last 6 months have been the best times of my life. So he is admitting right there that the best part of his life has been hanging out with her. And he's still just can't get it together. He still is just like, but it's not enough. It's not enough for me to enjoy my life. How is it not enough? How is it not enough? You were literally telling her that even before my accident, even before all of the fun and whatever that I had before, this time that I've spent with you is better, but it's not enough. I'm not even gonna finish that. I'm really not. You just have to read the book. I'm not gonna finish it, but like, it's just, I don't get it. I really don't understand. It's just weird to me. Let me tell you another thing, right? I don't annotate my books. I don't know if I've like talked about this or anything like that, but I just don't do it. I'll underline a little bit maybe every now and then if I'm like feeling something in a book. If I don't like feel anything, then I don't worry about it. Now I know that this is not a lot, but I gave this some tabs. I did. I started feeling little butterflies, I don't even know. I just started feeling some things and I was like, this is so cute. Like, I'm loving this. I liked it. I do. I really do. And I struggled with my rating so hard on this because I read the reviews right after I decided what I wanted to rate it. And I understood the reviews completely. All of the people that were like, this is so bad because of X, Y, and Z, I agreed with it completely. So half of me was like, I kind of want to give it a 3 stars, but then the other half of me was like, I want to give it a 5 stars because it made me feel really nice while I was reading it. I loved the experience that I got from this book. And so I was grappling with okay, well, do I want to give it like 3 stars because of this? Because I completely understand and I do agree. But on the other hand, the good parts of this book kind of outweighed the irritation that I received. So I don't know, I was really conflicted for a long time, but I did finally go ahead and just decide to give this one a 5 stars. I loved it. I thought it was super cute. The beginning was kind of slow, and that's okay. I do not mind that at all because the ending completely made up for it. Once they started finally getting to be friends, it was so cute. It was so cute. I loved it. Even though he was moody, even though he went through some really crappy things, even though he was having a really, really difficult time just with life in general, it was so cute. They were so cute. I loved their little relationship together. It was just everything that I needed. Everything that I needed. I really liked it. So I do understand the low ratings of this book. I do get it, and I do agree. And half of me is teetering on the fact that like this is probably a 3-star book, but because I had those feelings, 5 star. Those are the feelings that I'm looking for. I like this book a lot. I don't know if I would recommend it that much just because it felt like an old school read, and it was also kind of set like in England, I believe. So it just feels different when the books are in England and they're more old school. I don't know if I'm just being ridiculous, but that's just how I feel in the moment. But I did thoroughly enjoy this book. So that's it. That's all I read for November. I know it's not a lot, but that's it. I did all right. It's not that bad. And I did read all physical books, which is kind of cool. I feel like I haven't been doing that lately. While I'm at it, I will give you my honorable mention for this month. I started If You Tell end of November, and I've just kind of been reading through it, so I probably got like about halfway through it November. I am really, really liking this book. I did not know that it was based on a true story until the other day. Not even based on a true story. It just says a true story. It is a true story, and it is disgusting. Like, this book is just absolutely crazy. It just is boggling my mind 100%. I cannot wait to finish it, and I cannot wait to talk about it next month in the wrap up because this is absolutely insane. But I didn't finish it, so you will have to wait until December's wrap up to hear my thoughts on this one. But so far, it is absolutely insane. It hurts my feelings so much for these people, and it's absolutely awful. I literally hate it. It's so crazy. It's so wild. But nonetheless, I am still enjoying it. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, I'm sorry that I am having a difficult time getting some videos out for this month. I'm working on it, I promise, and I will get those out as soon as I can for you. Just bear with me. We got a lot going on, but we are kind of chilling out with all of our things that we need to get done, so hopefully I can get all of that out for you relatively quickly. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. I hope that you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I hopefully will get to see you in the next one. See ya!